Okay, so welcome back. We're about to get into episode 11 of Ready to Love Miami. This season is stretching out. Even though it's like we've had 11 weeks with these couples, it's not really giving. I don't feel like we have, like in the past, we've had couples where we just been like, we see the chemistry or whatever. It feels like they really, really, I don't know what's going on. Like, I always go back to the people who write the show. Like, I listen, it's great entertainment and we're enjoying the episodes, right? But there's a lot that we don't get to see, and that is the part that I don't like, because it's like you're crafting this story that you want us to see instead of giving us, like, we want the dates, we want the connections. Like, they keep popping up saying that they had connections with people that weren't shown, but if it's a dating show and you're doing this experiment with 10 different women and 10 different men, like, let us see how they all interact. Like, that's part of the judge. Come on, Own. Like, I don't got no problem with Own, but I'm just saying, like, we want to see all of the connections. To make it make sense. But anyway, so we're coming up off a cliffhanger. Last week we didn't know who was gonna go home. Suanne and Mercedes was in the bottom. So they opened up this episode with Mercedes and Suanne in the bottom, and Suanne is the person that they let go. And you know that we all know that if Suanne is leaving, then Blake is counting down the minutes because he's not going to stay. I already knew that. But so the power shift back to the ladies, and a man will go home at the end. Um, but like there was a part where the ladies I think they were cooking, and Tony says, yeah, she know I love to eat. Yeah, I know to eat. I love to eat. And Morgan was like, apparently I make you nuts. So I mean, let's just talk about that. What do y'all think? What do y'all think the underlying thing is in what Tony's saying? Has Tony eaten? You know what I mean? Is that why he's saying that, or like what is the deal? Like, there's some reason why Morgan is so connected to this dude that we can all see that no, he is not the one. He doesn't deserve Morgan, in my opinion. But Lyndon is like watching, in the background, and he thinks that Tony is making Morgan feel uncomfortable. Now, she really should just be able to tell him that. But Tony is like, I'm sorry to say, but like he's really, really coming off like a savage version of these dudes. Like I don't know. Like the situation has, like, the tables have turned. First it was her, being possessive of him, but she wasn't going as far as he's going. He's just like, he's tripping. Okay. So like they're chilling around the house. Jeffrey and Mark Anthony get a little conversation. Andre chills with Cynthia a little bit. Morgan basically told Anthony that he's too much for her. What she said was she's intimidated by how well he's put together and what he's gonna expect. So she basically was like, he's too much for me. So she cut that off. And then Tony is cooking over on the grill, burning the chicken, and Morgan is in the pool playing with Lyndon's hair. So Tony is watching everything. Like, he's watching everything. So like later on, Anthony tries to talk to Cynthia, and they kiss, and she says that her and Andre have a nonverbal communication, and so but she's feeling Anthony as well. She's just stating how different the connections are. And so, yeah, they kissed, and I feel like Andre's seen it too. So as I said, Blake decided to leave, and he said he was going to talk to Tommy. He sat down and had a conversation with the guys. But like, when we're watching this show, I don't know if everybody holds this in their mind like I do, but we're watching the show, so it's like our eyes are on them talking. But like, you always got to remember that there's a camera crew in between us, right? And so some of the times, things may sound good, but I'm like, did they say that for the camera? I don't know. But anyway, Blake talks to the guys, and he decides to leave, and he talks to Tommy. Then they get a knock on the door. Tommy sends this note to the group, and there's a cutaway where Tony Tony says, there's a cutaway scene where Tony says, We had a knock on the door. If Marcy walks in, he said he felt like Marcy was gonna walk in and kick the door in or bust back in or something like that. My first thought was, why is that the first thing that comes to your mind when you hear the knock on the door? Like, I know the cutaway scene was filmed after and they were looking back, but like, dude, that's not gonna, like, that doesn't make your situation any better, because what? Like, is what Lyndon said true? Like, what in the world? I feel like I really want Morgan to speak to this on the reunion, because it's like he got Marcia on the brain. And that's fine if you do, but like, understand that you're like, it's counterproductive to what you're trying to do. So I hope that they address that, because production is the one that highlighted that, right? He probably said so many other things, but that is what they put out there to put in that clip. And so they should address that at the reunion as well. So I don't know, we'll see. So the note that Tommy sent says that they have to handcraft like a candle for their connection. So, you know, I remember them sending Randall and Jamala on a candle making date last season. So that was kind of cute. So while Tony is outside making his candle with some other people, Morgan goes to talk to Lyndon. And I'll say this, Morgan's dress was dressing, okay? She had almost the whole side of her body out. You can see some thighs, some knee. You know, she definitely is a pretty lady. But she goes to talk to Lyndon, and he tells Morgan that Tony's bad for her. Like, and who knows how many other things he said or whatever the length of the conversation was or whatever. But, you know, it's something to be said about a dude that is going to down talk another dude. Now, whether he's bad or good, you know, being in a position to speak on another person who's in competition for somebody you're trying to date, it's a fine line you gotta walk or whatever. So Lyndon could be trying to manipulate Morgan with that, like with the opposite personality of Tony, but still manipulation nonetheless. Like, she sees this, she knows the red flags, and she actually admitted that. But she says, I'm gonna give Tony a chance to fix the mess he made. And no, see, sometimes it is necessary to give a person a chance to correct themselves, but I feel like with all that we've seen on camera, there's probably a whole bunch of other stuff that happened outside the camera, because I mean, it's a show and there's 24 hours in a day. So I feel like Morgan already seen what she needs to see, but she's not acting on that. And this is something that, you know, I've been guilty of before. You know, this person is not what you're supposed to be picking. You know, this person is not good for you, but you're holding on to the parts that you feel are good, that you want to get again, and you're not paying attention to the big picture. So I see exactly where she at, but like, girl, please pick yourself in this, please. Because she acknowledges the red flag. And so like, it's like, come on, Morgan, like, no. But she did admit in one of her cutaway scenes that he was making an ass of her, and I was like, so you see it. But Morgan then goes outside to make her own candle, and like, Cynthia's out there. I can't remember who else is out there, but Morgan gets emotional because she's making a candle for Lyndon, and she's making a candle for Tony. And when she was talking to Lyndon earlier, he did tell her that he was hurt by her actions. So she's feeling really emotional about this whole thing. So she walks away, and Cynthia goes to console her. And what Cynthia said again was, do you like the way he treats you? And she said, not when he's mad. And she said, it is so important for me that that the way you treat me when you're mad, you know, it's important to me to pay attention to how you treat me when you're mad, you know. And I feel like that is some solid advice that Morgan is just overlooking right now. Like, she sees it and she knows, but she has to be the one to make the decision. And that's where I feel like her emotional things is coming up, because, you know, Lyndon is a better guy than Tony. And so it's kind of like, as far as how they're both presenting themselves, but she's just, you know, she's just confused right now. I can get it. So, you know, Cynthia was basically like, you know, his words need to line up with his actions or whatever. And so then they go out to the kitchen. They pan out to the kitchen, and you see Tony in there, some of the other guys in there, and Mark Anthony's in there, whatever. And Mark Anthony tells Tony that he saw Morgan coming. Now, Tony actually looked right at the camera in that moment. He was like, well, what's she crying about? But he looked right at the camera. I don't know if you guys saw that or not.
Oh, we got real from Morgan, son. Wow, she's just bursting out his head, is making the.
But then he goes to Morgan's room and he's like, you know, what's going on? What are you doing? Like, in his mind, he probably like, is she crying over this dude? And Morgan's like, Morgan says she's okay. And then Tony just kind of abruptly leaves or whatever. He doesn't know why he's upset. Like, he didn't really talk to her. And I don't feel like she was open. She was responding openly, but that's just the way they put the edit together or whatever. But he's basically mad. So he goes back out to talk to Andre, and he's mad and says that she shouldn't be crying over another dude. And then he says, she's not going to have me here looking silly. Sir, you just had her looking silly for the past couple of weeks. Like, what are you talking about? What are you talking about? What is he talking about? Anyway, so they have a pajama party, and then they do the candle exchange. Tony's still in his feelings, so he didn't come to the pajama party. He stayed in bed or whatever. Cynthia made 2 candles for her connection, but she told Anthony that she wanted to wake up to him every morning. I was like, okay. But they all sitting in little kind of coupled up, you know, Mark Anthony sitting with Mercedes, Jeffrey sitting with Andre. But then Andre gives Cynthia and Jeffrey a candle also. And but he gave Cynthia her candle first. So I don't know. Like I said, Tony didn't decide to come down, but his candle ended up having a bug in it. Morgan, see the signs, sis. See the signs. You know what I'm saying? So we got Cynthia and Anthony. It looks like they're going to be a couple. We got Jeffrey and Andre, and we got Mercedes and Mark Anthony. So then later, I guess it might have been the next day. Tony apologized Tony apologized to Morgan the morning of the last day, and they ended that conversation with a kiss. You know what I'm saying? Okay. And then we see Blake talk to Tommy, but we all knew that was going to happen. And then Mercedes and Mark Anthony have a solo date. They played 2 Truths and a Lie. That was kind of cute. So then they have the women's lounge. In the women's lounge, Tommy tells the ladies all about Blake leaving or whatever. And then he asks them about who they're feeling and who they're not, as usual. And Cynthia she tells Tommy about what Lyndon revealed to Tony while they were on the retreat. So Tommy asked Morgan how many red flags does she see? And she sees it. You know what I'm saying? He sees it. It's like she's just ignoring it. Poor Morgan. So Tommy tells Morgan to take Lyndon out and, you know, make the decision on the date. So they go out on a date. Morgan, you know, lets Lyndon know that it's time for him to go. She's emotional again, but they end that date with a kiss that was, I guess they both agreed that it was a long time coming. It took too long to happen. And then Lyndon says, Tony is going to kill you. Now, see, that's what I'm saying. Like, remember, these cameras are in between our eyes and the screen. You know what I'm saying? Because they're filming this, and Tony is going to be upset. And I bet you they bring that up at the reunion. And Lyndon knew what he was doing, though, because the cameras were rolling. Like, you knew what you were doing. But, you know, it is what it is. Sometimes people try to keep their options open to see if they can be together later, I guess. But that's what happened on this episode. So next episode, I think it's our last episode. The women got to go meet the men's families. So that's always interesting. And it looked like they're going to be grilling these ladies. Okay. I'm here for it. Because if you date any of the males in my family, we definitely want to know, you know, what you doing? What's your intentions? Like, what you got going on? Like, what kind of person are you? So that should be interesting. So after that, it's the reunion. So y'all get in the comments below. Let me know what you think. Who gonna make it to the end together? We right here at the end. Who gonna make it to the end together? And you know, outside of that, you know, interviews are going on. I saw Ages and Stages interview Blake for on their podcast. Rashid did a great job on that interview, and I will have to say, Blake did he did present a different energy, and he answered a couple of questions that I had about him. So I'll be looking forward to seeing Kamisha Reviews interview him as well. And it's a bunch of other interviews that are coming up. You know, I don't know if Kojo's doing interviews this season. I hope he is, because he always gets people to just talk. So I'm looking forward to all of the interviews or whatever. But anyway, that's all I got for y'all for this video. I will see you guys in the next video. Peace.